Hello, everybody. It's the Warm. I'm back with some more Raging Loop. And today, we are here in the main menu because we're going to be having a bit of a discussion. In fact, we are going to be having a bit of a strategy meeting. Yes, I believe it's time. And also because I didn't want to be in the scene where there's someone chopping something with a knife the whole time. So, may as well get some nice music while we deliberate here. So yeah, last time I said I would want to try and formulate some kind of strategy. We're going to do that now. I don't know how long that's going to take. We'll just have to see. But I'm assuming it's going to take, well, it's going to take however long it's going to take. But afterwards, we'll probably get Haruaki's strategy meeting with his fellow wolf compatriots. So we'll get to have our own discussion and then see what Haruaki's discussion is. Okay, so let's start. How should we start? Let's lay out what our objectives are here. So I'd say, well, for one thing, I think we have to establish the fact that we are playing this not just as a wolf, but we are playing as Haruaki here, okay? Because this is a very specific situation he finds himself in. It's not just a game of Mafia or a game of Werewolf, what have you. This is a specific game, specific rule set with Haruaki as our player here. And that matters because our objectives are not necessarily going to be exactly what is best for, say, the wolf role or the human role, whatever, Okay, so what is our main objective as Haruaki here? And that is, I would say, well, let's say what is our main goal? Our main goal is to learn the mystery behind the village. That's just, and that is an umbrella term here, or phrase to, everything with the mountain, with Kamafujiyoshi, with, the history, the supernatural stuff. That's all of that, okay? And where we are in the story, there are, I'd say, two objectives to make that happen. For one, he needs to win the game as a wolf, because that is the role he now finds himself in. Okay, so that's our first objective in order to get to our goal here. Second objective is to accomplish the first objective, but to do it while still alive. That's something that's absolutely necessary. This is something we've talked about in the last route. The wolves could in fact win without him, through some sort of strategy, but really that's not going to help our overall situation because he's still going to be stuck in the looping. Okay, so we need to not only win as the wolves, we need to win and survive ourselves. So that is an extra layer of difficulty here. So with that clearly distinguished, those objectives and what we're trying to do here, I gotta say, this really feels like it'll be the most difficult part of the game, both for us and for Haruaki. I'd say it's definitely the most difficult the wolves have it for the whole game. That's because we have more humans. We have the addition of Hashimoto here, but also it just seems like the humans are going to be on their game for reasons we will get into. First, I guess let's talk about our team composition here. We have Haruaki, and then we have Kaori and Haru. And this kind of feels bad to say, but honestly, I don't have very high expectations for Kaori or Haru here. We know Kaori, she's pretty much been, well, there's good things and bad things about Kaori. For one, she can be a team player. We've seen that when she, asks for Yasunaga's opinion, or basically tries to go along with the game rather than obstructing it in any way. And she is clever. And we got this last time when she did, in fact, attempt to skirt around the rules by hiding information within her so that the humans would be able to get one over on the wolves. Now, that didn't go exactly as planned, but it nonetheless helped Haruaki corner the wolves in that round. However, so if those are good aspects, she has a huge weak spot, and that is her 2 kids. Anything that happens to them usually breaks her pretty quickly, and after that she becomes unpredictable, somewhat insane, and can be easily influenced or will lash out at whatever she perceives as the object of her vengeance, or whatever it could be. So she's already in a difficult position of essentially, if we're going along with the story that the wolves tell us, her sons are supposedly already dead. So she's already lost both of her sons at the outset. And we saw that when she fell over in the dining hall, and she's already feeling the heat. So I really do not know how reliable Kaori is going to be in this. She'd have to, I would imagine she would have to really truly believe that her sons are dead, and what they are doing as wolves, what we're doing by killing them is really for the best for them. She has to really believe that what we're doing is going to be benefiting her kids, who she, I guess, believes are already dead. If we can convince her of that, then I feel like we could make use of her cleverness and make use of her desire for vengeance. But I that sounds a bit tricky. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that. So that's one teammate. The other teammate we have is Haru. And, unfortunately, I don't think I have any positives to say about her. She's, whereas Kaori has a chance to be stable before breaking, Haru's already kind of unstable from the outset. She's afraid of a lot of things, afraid of a lot of people. And not to mention that she has a wild card with her connection to the god, in quotation marks there. So I really don't know what to expect from her, but I'm not sure how as a wolf, I'm not sure how useful she's going to be for our group here. So with that, it's really just Haruaki who's going to be our main tactician here. He's going to have to be giving the orders, and he's going to need the other two to follow his lead, I think. And with that, let's talk about some of the obstacles we're facing here, because they're pretty crazy obstacles. So first, I just want to say, I think my intuition regarding Hashimoto has kind of borne out a bit. Last time I mentioned how he was kind of intimidating me a bit with his, his non-blinking eyes and his very calm demeanor. And we saw him, really, he was the... What would it be? He was kind of the key figure of the first feast here. And I want to point out two things about him. For one, there's the obvious thing. He is cool and collected and rational and intelligent. He was able to understand all the rules, and then he was even able to work in some math and basically forced everyone to go along with his argument. And I don't mean forces and he was intimidating people. I mean, it was just so reasonable, no one could really have any counter argument. And that's just one thing. The other thing is that he was able to do all of this while basically setting up the humans to be a united front going forward. And that's the most that's I think the biggest obstacle for us this whole thing. By convincing everyone to not kill on the first night, specifically in order to allow the wolves to kill first so that the humans would be driven by vengeance, he's really shown himself to be a very crafty foe for us. And that's all and all of that would be crazy enough and on top of that we have the fact that he and Mochi are the monkeys. So I'll expand upon that in a little bit, because that's him and Mochi being monkeys are just an extra level to this level of difficulty, I feel. Yeah, I'll come back to that point in a second, but that's a very important point, the fact that Hashimoto is a monkey, and Mochi too. For the rest of the group of humans, obviously I'm going to be looking out for Mochi. Obviously I'm going to be looking out for Yasunaga. Takumi too, Kanzo too. They're always the biggest threats to us. Mochi especially I want to draw attention to here now. He also has two aspects that are very worrying. For one, Mochi's very clever. He can think outside the box. He can think up solutions that I don't think the other people could. He's just smart in that way. And then the other thing I think is very worrisome for us is the fact that he's very observant. He's very good at reading people and knowing when they're not acting like their usual selves. And so I've imagined a scenario where he'll be able to, suss out Haru. If he catches a whiff of Haru not acting like her normal self, I think he's going to notice. I think he would be the one to notice something like that first. And that's obviously very dangerous for us. Now, of course, we do have one benefit here, and this is going into the interpersonal relationship side of things. We are pretty dang sure that Mochi likes Haru. So, of course, I don't think you could put predictable and Mochi in the same sentence, but one can hope that perhaps we can, if we have to, perhaps manipulate him in some way. But again, I would never be sure that we could do that. That's the thing. But I can imagine a scenario where if Haru is a wolf and he realizes that, maybe he could be convinced to go along with something. As long as it's... Because remember, there are several times in the past couple rounds where he seems to change his vote or does something just because he thinks it'll be funny or interesting. So maybe that unpredictability can be useful to us, but I certainly wouldn't be confident enough to say for sure. Okay. Other than that, Kanzo, Takumi, and Yasunaga seem to have been acting normally through the meeting. I do want to say... you guys, a few of you did comment on last episode here. I'd be curious to think, like, Unknown Pitfall, you were saying how you think Konzo and Takumi may have guardians. I'd be curious to hear what might have tipped you off to that. I'm not sure I caught anything out of the ordinary from them. We know that Konzo once again went for us first. I think that's consistent with last time. And last time he was a monkey. The only other example of Konzo we have is from the first round, where we know, we're pretty dang sure he had a guardian in the very first route. And in that route, he stays strategically quiet. But he's speaking up here, so I'm not sure what the giveaway is, if there is one. And also Takumi, I'm not sure about either. He seemed to be just acting the arbitrator, which he usually does. This, talking about Konzo, is kind of, this is leading me into my next topic here. Haruaki is in a terribly precarious situation. He is an outsider, and worse than that, he is, unlike Mamiya and Hashimoto, he is an unexpected outsider who has previously shown suicidal tendencies. So, as Haruaki himself expected, we were always going to be the first target, and we're always going to be a target going forward. You know, just to make things worse for us. So, obviously, the only real plan to counteract that would be to claim to have a guardian, and thus give the people a reason not to kill us. So, I guess I can say this. The ultimate good scenario for this night, for this upcoming night, would be we are able to kill someone, that someone has a guardian, and then we can claim to be the guardian in their place. That would be the best case scenario. Are we going to be able to do that? I'm not sure. Maybe if we loop a few times, we'll be able to do that. But that would be the best case scenario. Yeah. So I think we're gonna. I know that Unknown Pitfall also said that. Yeah, Unknown Pitfall said, I think you should not pretend to have a guardian until Takumi and Janso are dead. I wonder if you had some kind of autocorrect or something. But basically, we shouldn't pretend to have a guardian until at least Takumi and someone else is dead, and until we have the Badger with us. The problem with that is, how in the world are we going to convince other people to, you know, let us live? I guess we can try and keep it vague. Haruaki in the route before this went. He didn't outright say he had a guardian. He said, I can get you information. So I guess we can try something like that, where we keep it vague and say we have something to offer them, and then reveal it later. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and here's something I want to ask and get people's opinion on. Now, two people I'm really afraid of in this game we're going into are Mochi and Hashimoto, for the reasons I outlined earlier. It's to an extent where I would want to kill Hashimoto, but the issue that we run into are the fact that they're both monkeys. And my understanding of this kind of game is we don't want to target the monkeys because there are much more important guardians that we need to kill, otherwise we're going to be at a huge disadvantage. So I'm really worried about Hashimoto and Mochi, and yet we need to ignore them because of their monkey status. Does that sound right to you guys? So whereas I would actually like to get rid of them, I don't think we can for the moment. Okay, so I think that leads to, what are we actually going to do here? What do we, with all that set up here, what should we actually do? Well, obviously we have to kill someone. The wolves basically said that if we don't kill someone, that's going to be a corruption violation on our side. And I don't think we can rely on corruption deaths this time around. I know I said last time Yoshitsugu might get himself killed, but with Hashimoto's arguments, I'm not sure, you know, if there's doubt that there are wolves at all, maybe maybe Yoshitsugu won't go out at night to try and find him. So I'm not sure we can rely on any of that. That's another reason why this is so difficult. Since Hashimoto and Mochi are kind of off the table for targets, I guess I just kind of go back to the plan I sort of started talking about last time. I think I would want to go for Takumi first. He serves as the arbitrator and between the older and the young, and I think getting rid of him would serve to cause tension between everyone. Of course, what I'm worried about is Hashimoto would be able to serve that role as well, being able to calm people down and kind of arbitrate in his stead. Of course, he is an outsider, so he'd probably have a bit more difficulty doing that. But yeah. And again, I would go for Takumi first, because I think the spider would probably protect Kanzo or Yasunaga-kun. That's that's where I'm at. It's not that different from what I mentioned last time. But really, obviously, I can't. It's hard to say more because, for one, we need to see how our wolves work as a group. We need to see what Haruaki's plans are, and then we need to see the outcome of tonight in order to make further plans. Because, you know, who knows what's going to happen after that. Yeah, I would say we have to kill Takumi first night, and I would say I think I would go for it. I think as Haruaki, I think we have to claim a guardian. Obviously, Snake would be most important. By that point, if we're able to convince people that we're the Snake, we'd be able to get the spider to choose us, and that would, prevent the spider from being used on anyone else. So that I feel like that would be the best case scenario. If we kill Takumi, he happens to be the Snake, and we claim that position for ourselves. Now, is that what's going to happen? Probably not. But otherwise, if we don't want to go that far that quickly, we would, as Haruaki, have to try and be vague about it and say, hey, we have information, or we can gather information. Don't kill me. I promise you I'll be of service to the humans. Because otherwise, we're done, you know? And I think that's pretty much it. Basically, my whole thought process on this has led me to think this is going to be a real uphill battle for us. In fact, it's going to be more than a hill, probably a mountain, so to speak. Up mountain battle. And really, that feels appropriate after the last two routes. So, let's get back in here. I'm going to take a quick break. It'll be very short for you guys, but for me, it'll be a bit of a break. And when I get back, we will go back into the game and see what Haruaki has to say with his own team. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. All right. 1 second, please. Okay, back. We are back. Time to see the aftermath of the feast and presumably hear Haruaki's game plan. Let's do it. The dining hall was a much more pleasant place than it was in the morning. Yasumizu was a place full of decent people who readily accepted the idea that they wouldn't have to kill anyone today. The same applied to the wolves, or so I thought. But they didn't look so good.
面白そうな学問だな。もうゼミには入ってるのかい？
ええ、君吉先生っていう方で。
君吉さん。一度ラサでたまたま出会った日本人が大学の先生で、そんなお名前だったような。
Kimiyoshi. Is that not a reference? I'm not. Excuse me. I'm not going to say what in particular, but I'm pretty sure there's a Kimiyoshi. There's a particular Kimiyoshi family that might be mentioned in another visual novel. Excuse me.
あ、その人ですよ。専門がシナチベット語族なんで、たびたび向こうに行ってるみたいです。
Might just be a common name or something, I'm not sure.
なるほど。世界は狭いね。
橋本さんや先生にとってはですよ。
You know what? Hang on. Why don't I just check? Should be easy enough to find out. Yes, yeah, okay. It's the same name. Yep. At least, is it the same name? If I'm gonna find out, I should at least find out exactly. Yeah, it is the same name. Yep. Okay, never mind. Yep. I don't know if it's a reference though. Again, it could just be a common name or something. Another reason was Hashimoto-san. Once he stopped being silent, he turned out to be extremely sociable and understanding. The dining hall would fall silent every now and then, so he walked around and talked to people, bolstering the morale and seemingly naturally suited to the role. Yeah, this is the... I'd said there were two things that worried me. This is that second thing I mentioned. He seems to be just naturally uniting the people. He wasn't exactly a jokester, but everyone who talked to him seemed to be having fun. He'd even gotten a faint smile out of Haru-chan. I wasn't jealous or anything. I did wonder why Chiemi hadn't told me about her specialty. And, honestly, I had no right to be jealous. I'd already used my looping to get together with 2 women. No. Doing what I did back then seemed like the best thing to do in those situations, and putting Haru-chan aside for the moment, both Chiemi and Rikako-san were really charming. Chiemi-san was a bit unhinged at her core, but Mitsuji wasn't all that different. Rikako-san was fun, and her two-faced nature was kinda attractive to me. But, well, I wasn't really in a position to think about what came after the mist cleared.
春秋様とお話ししたい。
あ、すみません。ちょっとこっちが立て込んでて。
すみません。失礼しました。
This hurts. At least it hurts me a bit. Remember, Haruaki is kind of in a different state of mind to all of us, normally. So maybe it doesn't hurt for him, but it definitely hurts for me to hear this. I was making dinner with Kaori-san. I'd invited her to do it so we would be well fed and ready for tomorrow. Of course, this was to distract her from reality. I didn't want her unpleasant nature to take over and make her throw aconite into the food, so I took it upon myself to cut the veggies. You know, that is a good point, actually. Kaori, because remember there was a moment in the last route where when the wolves discovered Kaori had hidden information, they essentially made it so that Mochi would be sacrificing himself in order to further the wolves' cause. So there could be a potential strategy in our future where we have Kaori-san, who, for whatever reason, breaks down, and we could use her in order to take a bunch of people with her so that whether she's hanged or the corruption gets her, it would still put us in an advantage. Yeah. Oops. As I worked, I watched what was going on at the dining hall. I could see most of their faces from the counter. Last time, the first day was relatively peaceful, but this day was even more relaxed. Tai-san's incessant prayers and Kanzo-san's continual state of high alert made it a bit uncomfortable, but that was it. One reason for the good atmosphere here was the fact that no one had died yet, so it was possible that this was all some sort of sick joke. Another reason was the presence of the one who died of all the previous times, Hashimoto-san. He was also a master at helping everyone lighten up. I could even include Mamiya-san as a reason. Hashimoto was alive, and she wasn't a wolf this time, so she wasn't hysterical like in the previous loop. Though, she was writing something with a troubled frown over on her face.
キューちゃんは取材のまとめかい？
記事にするかはわからないから、今のところはノーで。ただ、興味深いことは興味深いですね。
オカルト？
ええ。あまり日本的じゃないなと思いまして、ここの話。
ほう、それはちょっと興味あるな。
これ続けても大丈夫です？村の伝説に私なんかが講釈をして不快だったりしません？
どうかな。私は普通に興味ありますけど。
俺は別に興味ね
え。でもまあ暇だし。
りっちゃんは一応こういうの担当でしょ？
いえ。真珠は身車家の役です。でも、そうですね。私も少し興味があります。
Things were going just like they had last time. Everyone was interested in what she had to say, and she revealed her knowledge about god slaying and servant worship. Pardon me. Gonna have to attempt some pronunciations here. Susanoo. I'm not sure how to do the extra O here. I'll just say Susanoo. Or wait. Yeah, Susanoo beating Orochi. That's a big snake, right? Susanoo beating Orochi. Aesop's Fables, Yamatsu Okami, aka Izanami. Then Tai-san became upset, just like last time. The only difference was that I wasn't involved in the conversation.
OK です。ここまでにしましょう。ただ、ちょっと気になることが一つありまして。ここで歌われているわらべ歌みたいな歌について教えていただきたいんです。
Oh. She herself mentioned it, huh? It led to just about the same words as last time. Mami-san pointed out how the lyrics had a lot to do with the feast. She began questioning the parts she didn't understand, such as the badger and Kyonosuke-shi, among others, answered her.
興味深い話だけど。ムジナだけ今に残っていないのは不自然で気になるな。
Wow. I was about to say, hey, we could stay strategically silent this time and they wouldn't get to even think about the badger. But is Hashimoto, is he about to just say it? Let's see. Yeah, the thing I'd pointed out last time was now pointed out by Hashimoto-san. But the thing is, they never really believed us about the badger. If they all believe Hashimoto-san, I'm going to be a bit upset. He and Mamiya-san continued examining the relationship between prayer to Shanai and the feast. Tai-san mentioned that the badger was a servant of the Okami-sama, and that there was a statue in the Shanai shrine. She also talked about late Gensan's words. The badger is waiting for the Okami-sama to return.
なんだかいる気がするな。
No.
ムジナはこの中に。
No, don't do it. He raised the same suspicion I had.
牧島さんが前の宴に参加してたってことなら、その源さんという方も参加してた可能性が高そうだし、その時にムジナが出てきたから、遠回しな言い方で警告を残したのかもしれない。
何ですそれ、橋本さん。推測ですよね。
そうだね。少し決め手に欠けるかな。
Now, it was time for something new.
狼、よもつ狼、狼。橋本さん、私、すごいことに気づいたかもしれません。
何かな。
今更なんですが、神内明神の神内という名の由来ってどなたかご存知ですか？
Well, I certainly don't. She'd been curious about this in Kamafujiyoshi too. What of it, though?
新内さんは公式には猿なし山という名らしいからね。
Okay.
猿が猿に、梨が梨に置き換わったのだろう。
Okay, if you're if you're someone who's really into both Japanese and the written forms of Japanese, this will probably be right up your alley. But this is going to be going all over my head. I mean, personally, I'm actually interested in the meanings of words and the history of the words. You know, the etymology, that sort of thing. It's just I'm entirely unfamiliar with Japanese, so I'll not understand. Obviously, the symbols are changing here, but they sound the same. Shinai is actually Surunashi. So they're saying Saru became Saru. Can this symbol be read as also can also be read as Shin? Maybe I'm not. You know, this is showing you how much I don't understand. Huh. Okay.
違いますよ、野里様。神内様は昔から神内様。明治の時に読めんからってお上が名前変えたと聞いてますよ。
逆か。
つまりもともと神内だった。山脇さん、その語源については？
知りませんね。
多分、これは漢字トリックです。
Mamiya-san ripped out a page of her notepad and put it on the table.
神内。内の漢字は大と示すでなっています。
Big show. Yes, I see it. She wrote down the relevant kanji. Here they are.
これを組み替えると、
She then wrote down the kanji for big, then show to the right of it, and shin to the right. The result was this.
神の武士は示す編。実際に給仕は神だし、つまりこれは狼。
So, what are we saying? Are we saying Shinai is the wolf god or something?
神内様イコール
Yeah.
狼様ということじゃないでしょうか。
What?
バカなことを。
Tai-san shouted hysterically. You could hear in her voice that she was shaken up. Of course she would be. According to Yasumizu's legend, the humans and servants killed the wolves, the Okami-sama. However, it reinforced my theory. I had lots of clues that led me to think that Okami and Great Lord Shinai were one and the same. His use of the corruption was one thing. Another thing was the fact that he was neutral in the battle between humans and wolves, or Yomibito and wolves. Yet another thing was the local outlook on life and death. If people went to Yomi upon death, they would go there regardless if they were hanged or killed by wolves. That was why they said rise not. It meant go to Yomi and don't return. However, in the Shinai faith, the mountain was a place where corpses were buried, so it wasn't strange for it to be considered the same as the world of the dead.
ともかくイザナミは多くの神を生む過程で落命し、吸ったもんだの果てに根の国を支配する神となった。
根の国？
黄泉の別名よ。根の片す国とも言う。海の向こうにあるとも言うし、根の国に黄泉という場所があるとも言うけど。
Maybe I was reading into this too deeply, but Nenokuni, country of roots, gave me an image of the underground of a tree-covered mountain.
待て待て、そりゃこじつけじゃねえのか。第一、狼を隠す必要なんてどこにある。
それこそ大神神社と差別化を図ったのかもしれないし、神道に組み込むために難解にひねったのかもしれない。
Again, this is something I don't understand this, really, this sentence. I don't know Omiwa Shrine, and I'm unfamiliar with what it means to incorporate into Shinto.
あるいは信仰を隠す必要があったとか。
信仰を隠すですか？
例えば、狼様を大っぴらに信仰できないような状況があって、その信仰を隠す必要があるとき、別の信仰の形をとって信仰を守る。例えば、江戸期のキリシタン禁止下におけるマリア観音とかね。それに、神様の一の使いが神様本人と混同されるもまたよくあるわ。衝突を恐れずに言うと、伝説や神話はよそからの拝借だけじゃなく、政治的な要因も強く影響して変遷していくの。古代、神話と政治は強固に結びついていたからこそ、政治のあり方が変わるときは、神話も形を変えなきゃならなかった。
Okay, so here's something that's a bit confusing to me. Maybe you guys are following this better than I am. So this is supposedly a pretty big revelation, right? Shinai-sama is actually Okami-sama, okay? But weren't we told that Okami-sama was actually plural? That it was 3? It was parents and a kid? So what's the deal there? Is there a single god, or is it the 3 wolves were always the main god, essentially? And I'm not sure how to fit that within the previous tales we've heard. So instead of the wolves being a guardian, the wolves were always the main god, and then they got other guardians. The other animals were guardians, but the wolves were actually the main god, something like that. Sorry, I'm just I understand this is supposed to be somewhat of I'm not sure how huge a revelation, but it's supposed to be a revelation, but I'm not sure I'm able to follow it exactly.
集落の合体によってそれぞれが奉じていた神様が結婚したり、戦争で併合された側の神様が子分や魔物に変えられたり、あるいはかつて別々だった神様を同じ存在だってことにしたりね。そうやって力関係の辻褄を合わせたわけ。強力な神や悪魔ほど意匠や変化、化身がたくさんあるのはそのため。忘れられた信仰がいくつもそこに融合されているの。今日残っているのはそういった事情でねじ曲がって伝えられてきた伝承や神話だから、多少の矛盾があるのは当然よ。だからもちろん真実はわからないけど、これで信頼モーデの歌を読み解くとだいぶ意味が変わってきそう。何しろ歌には狼とお守りの対立関係が書かれてない。
That was true.
例えば狼イコール神内さんは未だに4つ、いや5つのお守りと友好的かつ絶対的な主従関係にあり、怪し読み人と人間に吹き込み加護を与えることで相争わせているとかかしら。
She went that far with this audience.
すみません。さすがにそこまでおっしゃられるとあまり愉快ではございません。
そうよ。よう知りもせんと。
Naturally, Rokako-san and Tai-san had something to say about that.
ああ、これはすみません。僕らとしては、伝説や神話に信憑性があると思ってるから、こうしていろいろ伺ってるのです。でなきゃ、そもそもこんなことに参加してもいないし、外に出るだの、警察に訴えるだの、騒いでいるでしょ
う。私がその役してますね、今。
芹沢さんは半信半疑ってところかな。実のところ今ここに完全に疑ってる人はいないと思いますよ。ただ、ムジナは伝説から抜け落ちかけていた。伝説も宴のルールも同じく口伝によって伝えられています。一番怖いのは、伝承に詳しい山脇さんや植松さんがご失念されていることが他にないかということですね。
そんなものないとは確かに断じがたいですが。
植松様じゃが。
まあ、ただ話はそんなに難しくはないと思うんですよ。織部安永くんだったかな。
あ、はい。
僕らはさっき、人は嘘をつかないという方針を打ち出したけども、もし人であるにもかかわらず狼に組する者、つまりムジナが現れた場合、その人はきっと狼様のために嘘をつくか、あるいは暴れたりとかすると思うんだが、どう思うかな。
Oh man. It really feels like Hashimoto has got our number here.
そうですね。ムジナがどうとかがなくても、そのケースは危惧するべき。でも、それは。
嘘つきや暴れた奴は、たとえ人でも狼の味方。だから問答無用でくくればいい。そういうこったろ。
Yoshitsugu-kun, who had been sitting in the corner of the room and staring at a wall in boredom, suddenly spoke up. He wasn't wrong in the least, which was probably intended by Hashimoto-san.
どうやら本格的に、後ろめたいことはしない方が良さそうですね。
それは、確かですね。
言われんでも、 あたしたちはこれまで誠実に生きてきましたわいね。親内様はいつも見ておられる。
いいですね、素朴で。人間性にまっすぐ訴えるような信仰だ。
With that, I finally understood something. Yudai Hashimoto was the same type of person as me. He controlled people through speech and manipulated their emotions through words to put himself in an advantageous position. The difference between us was that his conscience, presence, and persuasiveness were far above mine. And he was a human, an enemy to us wolves. Haru-chan was in a seat next to Yasunaga-kun, and Mochi's not saying a word. Pretending to pick something up from the counter, I crouched down and looked at Kaori-san. With her back to everyone, she cut veggies, and though her expression wasn't as bad as before, it was still full of anguish and unease. Time passed by. Well, hang on. Okay. I'm actually kind of reaching my limit here. There was an autosave, and I think I'll take that as a sign that this is a good time to stop. We obviously didn't get to Haruaki's planning, but oh boy, that was a lot. What I mean by that, what I mean by that, it wasn't actually that it was that much information. Obviously, we got the revelation about Shinai-sama and Okami-sama being the same thing, which is certainly something, and something I need to think about because I'm not sure I fully understand the implications of all that. But it really just my impression, my intuition about Hashimoto-san wasn't even far enough. It's not just he's gonna be an obstacle. He's the guy. He's our opponent. He's the one we're gonna be facing. And it's to the point where, like, even if it's supposedly such a disadvantage to target a monkey, I feel like I'd almost want to get rid of him just for that, because he is, yeah. I don't know how we're gonna do this, guys. Obviously, here's the thing: we're gonna eventually do it, right? Because for all powerful Hashimoto might be mentally and persuasively, we're a looper. At the end of the day, victory is assured. It's just how long it takes to get there. That's the thing. So, in a sense, it's, you got to sort of reframe your mind to think about it that way, I guess. Otherwise, I would feel a bit helpless almost. In any case, that's been the episode today. I'm The Worm, this is Raging Loop. If you have any, since we didn't get to Haruaki's strategy meeting yet, if you want to go ahead and give your own thoughts, I'd totally welcome it. Because I think this is it, this is going to be our last big game here. So if you want to participate in that before getting all the answers, now would be the time. So in any case, I hope you're doing well. See you next time.